Okay, hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So if you saw my stories, you'll know that my camera has not been charging, so it's most likely time to get a new one. In the meantime, I really want to get this specific video up for you guys because it's a lot of new information I don't think I've shared on my channel before, and I've been getting a lot of questions about it recently. I'm gonna just film on here like it's a regular video and just jump on in. So to start, I wanted to really talk about what happens and what it means when you start to cleanse and you get new symptoms you've never had before. So to give an example, I've had a lot of clients and people even who I'm not working with who are cleansing because they have psoriasis or are cleansing because they have Hashimoto's or some sort of condition. And all of a sudden they get, as they're cleansing, they start to get like asthma-like symptoms or rhinitis, or I've had a client who had fibromyalgia and was cleansing before even working with me and started developing eczema or skin issues. And they're like, we've never had this in our life. Why is this happening? And a lot of you guys know about the die-off reaction or healing crisis. So that's not really what I'm talking about today. This is something different. So they were asking why it's happening, and there's a very good reason. And I never really talked about it too much, but I think it's time because I'm getting so many questions about it recently. So what happens in our body? We have several different elimination pathways or emunctories. So we have liver and kidneys, they're the primary emunctories, as they are the ones that are used in our body, specifically the liver. So those are the two main, but we also detox through our lymphatic system, through our colon, through our skin, through our respiratory system, so our lungs, mucous membranes. Our body has many pathways of elimination. And what I'm talking about today is what happens when one of these areas are overwhelmed or out of balance. You guys hear me talk a lot about homeostasis and balancing the body and finding out which areas are out of balance and which are in balance and to try and regulate those. So what I'm talking about is our body working in harmony the way it should be. I'm going to give you an analogy before I start. If you picture a tube, and sorry, I only got one hand because I'm holding the phone. If you picture a tube, a hollow tube with a bunch of holes from all directions in it, and you fill up this tube with water, water should pour out, for the most part, pretty evenly throughout all the holes in the tube. If you were to plug a few holes up with your fingers or something, the pressure would increase in the holes that are still open, right? Because the more blockages you have, the less space there is for water to run through. So this analogy that I'm referring to, if you picture water as toxins in our body and picture the holes as our elimination pathways, this is exactly what happens in our body. Over the years, toxins build up, and some will leave through our respiratory system, some will leave through our stool, some will go through the liver, etc. Well, when these pathways start to get blocked, it means that there's an imbalance. So more toxins are being sent to the few areas that are still functioning. And this is when you will start to get problems. So like I said, I'm not talking about die-off reaction or healing crisis per se. This is an imbalance in our elimination pathways. So when you are cleansing, say you have, you're cleansing from psoriasis and you support the liver. I always talk about liver support and kidney support as it's the most common and the ones that always just need attention right off the bat for most people. So you start to support those, but a lot of people, even with that kind of support, will all of a sudden develop things like asthma, or they will develop, like I've seen clients who literally develop postnasal drip, or all of a sudden they feel like there's just so much phlegm in their throat and they can't stop coughing. And they're like, I've never had respiratory issues or lung issues in my life. Why is this happening now? What is happening is over time, as you're starting to detox, tons of toxins are coming up, right, to the surface, as you guys know, and they will start to, as you're supporting your liver, some will leave through your liver, but when there's so much, they will start to just pour out in larger amounts through your other elimination pathways until your liver is up and running and functioning properly. So when these toxins are pouring out, and your liver's can only do so much because it's so backed up, they will start to leave through your lungs and you will develop some lung issues, or they'll start to leave. Some people have like major diarrhea or several bowel movements a day during the cleanse, and it's because your toxins are leaving quicker through your colon, your body's pushing them out. Some people will all of a sudden get acne or eczema, and that's toxins leaving through the skin. Having this type of a reaction, if you're getting a symptom you've never had before, it doesn't always mean die off, that you have to stop cleansing. What it could mean is that toxins are shifting. So before I even continue anymore, I've seen clients where we will work together and we support their liver and kidneys, and everything looks great, and then in the follow-up, all of a sudden they have respiratory issues, or all of a sudden they scored higher in their respiratory system, and they start to freak out. They think that, they're moving backwards. Well, when that's not the case at all. If you get a shift like that into another elimination pathway or organ system, all that means is that your one elimination pathway that we were focusing on is not keeping up. So toxins are now shifting to other parts to be eliminated. So that's why that area scores high. So then that's what we focus on. It once the respiratory system scores high, we say, all right, we're going to start draining through the lungs. Once the, if the digestive system, if the colon seems so overwhelmed, we'll start draining through the colon some more. If you start getting swollen lymph nodes, then we put our attention to that. So you never can do one protocol and just support, for example, your liver and then, think you're done. You always have to go through all the elimination pathways, because if you picture that tube with all the holes, you only can plug so many before your body gets blocked. So you slowly start to unplug all the holes until toxins are flowing evenly throughout all the holes. I really hope I'm making sense, because I have so much information in my mind that I want to share, and I think sometimes my mouth is running quicker than my brain is, or my brain's running quicker than my mouth is, I should say, and I'm not relaying this properly. So I hope I'm making sense. So a few things that I like to do is, and some tips I want to give you guys is, if you're cleansing and you're supporting your liver and you're doing everything right, but you feel like new symptoms are arising, before you're like, oh, it's candida die off, it might not be. What it could be is you need to support other areas of your body. So whenever I work with clients, we always do liver and kidney together. I never just do one, just to keep that system in balance. I usually will do colon and lymphatic at the same time as well. Depending on the client, sometimes instead of lymphatic, we'll do respiratory or, something like that. But for the most part, that's how we lay it out. And then in the follow-up, we usually will continue liver and then maybe do respiratory or something like that. And that's what I want you guys to do. So if you start with liver and kidney cleansing, then after a little while, you want to do some sort of respiratory support or lymphatic support. Any company, you guys know by now that I am a fan of homeopathics, and it's what I like to use. But any company that you are using will have some sort of support for all those areas. So if you use St. Francis herb tinctures, they have liver tinctures, they have kidney tinctures, they have lymphatic, they have respiratory tinctures. If you're using Omega Alpha, they have lung fleshes, kidney fleshes, liver fleshes. Several as well. So whichever company you're using should have cleanses for all of those elimination pathways. And you want to make sure you're supporting all of those areas. If you're cleansing and you're supporting the proper areas, but you're getting new symptoms you've never had before, like lung issues or something like that, then go pick up a tincture or a supplement for that area and support that area as well, so you can facilitate toxins leaving the body. So I really hope I'm making sense here. I'm not really, sorry guys, just scrolling here. I am not really going to be answering questions in this video, as I just wanted to just make this like a regular YouTube video because my camera's not working. But when you picture our bodies and what's happening over time, when we build up so much toxicity, which is so easy to do, when we're building up so much toxicity in the body over the years, especially stress and things like that, it's only natural for toxins to be escaping through all of our elimination pathways, and for these elimination pathways to get blocked. Once they are blocked, then more toxins are now sent to the few areas that are working properly until those get blocked. So it's very rare that I've seen clients or people that I've worked with come to me and just have liver blockage, because that's usually not the case. There's usually lymphatic stagnation, there's usually kidney issues. Most people do have some sort of respiratory or nasal issue. And it's because what I just mentioned, every area starts to get overwhelmed and blocked. The toxins are just kind of trickling out from where they can, and that's where a lot of issues will come from. If you unblock one area and not the other, so if you just open up the liver or just open up the lymphatic system or the respiratory system, you'll feel good for a little bit. Toxins will start to leave through that pathway, but it'll just get blocked right back up when you get any type of toxicity again, because that one hole, like if you think of that tube again with all the holes and water flowing through, only so much water can flow through one hole before it just gets overwhelmed, right? So you want to do, you can't just do the liver, otherwise you'll just end up right back to square one after a little while, and you'll have to do the liver again. So my point is, start with liver, kidneys, as that's usually for most people the proper place to start. But then you do want to consider lymphatic, you do want to consider kidney drainage and all the rest of it. So support all your elimination pathways. And like I said, you could do that with herbs. Every company will have their tinctures. And it's the only time you have to worry about it being die off is if you're doing a crazy strong candida cleanse or something like that, and all of a sudden it's just too much for your body. So just a couple more things. Aside from purchasing like a liver flesh or a lung flesh or a lymphatic flesh or something like that, what you want to do is dial back the type of cleanse you're doing. So if you were fairly unhealthy, either stressed or took medications or ate the wrong foods or drank alcohol at some point, and then you decide you want to be healthier and you start to cleanse and change your diet and start to take supplements, it's only natural that tons of supplements, or sorry, not supplements, it's only natural that tons of toxins will come up too quickly and you will notice some sort of like healing crisis or die off. So if that's the case, you do want to go slow. So dial back the detoxing, go a little bit slower. It will take you longer, but it's the safe way to do it because then you're not getting that inflammatory response. You're not overwhelming your immune system. So dial back that type of cleanse, even if you're just with diet. Some people I've seen go from eating, really, really bad to just all of a sudden being keto overnight or doing a juice cleanse overnight. And then all of a sudden they get major worsening of symptoms. They develop some sort of viral infection or something like that. And it's just because they're doing, too much cleansing at once. It was just too much for the body. So dial back the cleanse, but you do want to make sure you're supporting other areas. So aside from dialing back the cleanse, open up more elimination pathways with more supplements or homeopathics. And that way you can have more toxins or the same amount of toxins spread out over more pathways to be eliminated from the body. I hope I'm making sense. I don't know. It's pretty late at night, so I feel like I'm not. I'm so tired. So that's what I wanted to share because it's something that I don't think I've mentioned before, like talking about many other elimination pathways and how to support those. You always want to do exercise as well, as that kind of gets all your elimination pathways kind of moving, your lymphatic system, toxins flowing throughout the body, coming out through the skin, through sweat. So you want to, utilize and facilitate everything you can to, encourage the detoxification. But definitely a huge part of this is you have to support your other areas. And this is what I mean when I say bringing the body in balance. It can become out of balance overnight, no matter how much, all your efforts, if you're, not supporting the right areas and making sure that you're looking at the body as a whole. So a lot of physicians will look at, one area of concern. Like if you go in with IBS, they'll just focus on the colon, when most of the time it's not just the colon, there's other areas that are causing problems. So look at the body as a whole and address each area, whether all at the same time or one after another or a few together, whatever you think, would work best for you. If you're doing a candida cleanse, and you're feeling like there's a lot of die-off, you not only want to support many elimination pathways, not just one, but you do want to dial back that cleanse as well. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helps. I had a few other things on my mind, but they just slipped. They were at the tip of my tongue, and now I can't think of what I wanted to mention before I signed off. I am working on getting this camera sorted, so I will start uploading proper videos again. I know the last few have literally been, I think, 3 or 4 lives in a row, and it's just because my camera's not working well. But I will be getting that up and running. So I hope this makes sense, and I hope that I'm not confusing you guys even more. So that's not my intention. Yeah. So thanks for watching. So in terms of, just before I sign off, if you are doing some sort of cleanse and you are getting like a worsening of the symptoms you already have, dial the cleanse back, because only so much can, to kind of go back to that analogy with the tube. Say you weren't just blocking the holes with your fingers. Say the tube was filling up with mud, and mud was blocking those holes. And then you tried to send water through, and water just was not going, through the tube. Say there's a hole at the end of the tube, and then it fills up with mud, and you want the water here to get to the end and escape through that hole, aka the liver. But there's all that mud in there, so the water can't actually reach that liver or that hole. it'll start to go out through one of the other holes that aren't blocked yet, which could be the skin. So if you're cleansing and all of a sudden like your skin's angry and it's getting worse, that's just because toxins are not able to leave through your liver where they should be going, so they're going out through the skin instead, and that's what's causing that inflammation. So that, if that's the case, you do want to slow down your detoxing or support your liver more if you're not doing enough liver support. If you ever just jump into a candida cleanse without supporting the liver, that's one of the worst things you can do for your body. So don't do that. Support your liver more, dial back the antifungals. There's nothing wrong with starting with tiny microdoses and slowly increasing. There's nothing wrong with that. You'll still get benefits. Like, people sometimes think they have to go super hardcore on cleanses, but it's not true at all. Less is more for most people. So start with a little always. And if nothing's happening, then you can increase. But if you're feeling bad, then at least you know you didn't overwhelm your system and really cause an inflammation. So I hope that helps. All right, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for joining, guys. If you have any questions about this, please leave them in the comments down below. I love chatting with you all. So hopefully this all makes sense. And just to that last question, what is die off? I have a lot of videos talking about it. Essentially, it's candida dying off, causing a lot of toxins. But some people will say healing crisis as well, where your body just doesn't know what to do with all the toxins that are in it, and you start getting a worsening of symptoms. So those are what I'm talking about. All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will talk to you soon. I hope you have an awesome weekend.